Alright guys, good evening and welcome back. So I want to show us how to attach the invisible zip on our senator with the help of the invisible footer. I made a video on the tools needed. I think I mentioned this footer is used for the industrial invisible foot for the industrial machine. Then I have already cut out my material. The cuttings I have done is the regular cutting, nothing different. This is the regular stuffs we have learned in previous videos, so there will be no need to explain them anymore. So we are going straight up to learn how to fix this invisible zip at the left part of the senator. So this I have here is the design of my customer. So I have already gummed and used hemming gum to hem them. Then I'm going to thread the facings before we progress to the addition of the invisible zip at the shoulder part. That's the left hand side of our senator. So you will thread all through. Now make sure your threading must be tip to tip. Now when you are sewing, don't allow the fabric to control you, right? So you're going to sew all through to that point. So make sure you are sewing gradually. Don't be in a haste to finish up any panel or any part of your sewing of your clothes, right? Take it gradually. Assume that sewing is the last clothes you're going to make. By so doing, you will be patient enough to arrive at the perfect finishing. So now I am threading from this direction. You can decide to have it as double threading. You can still decide to make it a one line. So let's work on the flap. Now that is what we call an imaginary flap or an illusion flap, meaning the flap is not a real flap. There is no slit opening. It's just a decorative effect on your outfit. Then I'm going to thread it all through. Bear in mind that since we talked about fixing the invisible zip at the shoulder, there is no way we can still have flap and as well have invisible zip at the same time. It's either we use invisible zip or we use flap. So this one you're seeing here is for fancy sake, right? That's the design, the style. There's no opening underneath it. So that's the best explanation you can get there, because the clothes, the picture I got this from had the similar material and everything. So I observed that it has a shoulder zip at the side, so which prompted me to make this style, and then I want to explain to us as well. So whenever you are giving clothes to make, try your best to pay attention to details, right? Make sure you cross-check everything possible. Some of them have different views when you take time to analyze the style, but a regular tailor will just assume that that's a flap. If I did not look closely at the shoulder, I wouldn't have seen the shoulder shoulder zip, right? So I'm done with the threadings now. So the next I would do is to bring you can decide to make a two-line threading, or you can decide to leave it at one. However be the case, it's your sole decision, right? So now you bring the back panel, then you get your label. If you have one, you get a label, you place it 3 inches or 2.5 lower from the neck, and then at the center of the back panel you stitch all through. You can decide to stitch only on the both ends, or you can decide to stitch all right round the label. If you need label, I can help you procure some at a very affordable rate. That is for woven labels and other related fashion related items like your branded nylon, your tags, and possibly even machines. I can give you contacts of people I buy from that can help you, or I can even help you buy and make a well built to you. So now I'm trimming the neck, the gummed encroachments I have on the neck. So you just have to trim it off while you cut your threads. Make sure you cut your threads as you sew, step by step. Don't allow the threads to pile up and then expecting to cut them at the end of the sewing, which you might not remember again, or you might be tired to cut all through the thread. But if you form the habit of cutting the threads as you sew, you know you have little or no threading left. So now I'm done with the label. Now you bring the front piece, place as I have shown, and then bring the back facing, place it on the front piece. Then you're going to sew the right hand side of the outfit. The right hand side of the outfit. Note better that all shoulder zips must be positioned at the left part of the outfit. Must be positioned right. So you close the right part with 1/2 inch. Now bear in mind that the cutting of this outfit was the same method we use in cutting our regular outfits. There was no additional measurement added at the shoulder level as regards to the zip. Everything we cut here was at the same method and formula we use, right? So you join the right part of the outfit as shown. When you are done joining, the next thing you will do now is to cut your threads, and then make sure you cut your threads. Don't be in a haste, right? Cut your threads gradually. Then cut off 1/4 inch from there. It helps to remove the excess bulge that you might encounter on your shoulder area. Then once you're done with this, the next you will do now is to thread, right? Don't mind the chalked area. It was a mistake I made while trying to differentiate the front and the back. So the chalked area is actually the front. So now you make sure you top stitch from the back facing. You can decide to have it 1/4 inch or tip to tip, or 1 inch as the case may be. Take your time, go gradually. While you sew, you make sure you also arrange your clothes while you are sewing. Then when you get to this stage, the next thing you will do now is to pipe your neck, then subsequently the shoulder zip insertion. So guys, as you can see, I did not seal the left shoulder area. It was left open. The reason for not sealing it is to make sure that I have enough allowance to attach my shoulder zip. What I will do now, I will just stitch on top just to make sure that the facing and the back piece comes out as a one piece, right? To enable me fix the zip with ease. Top stitch tip to tip in a way that it will not show after joining. Also top stitch the neck area. This top stitching, like I said earlier on, is to make sure that the front that the back facing and the back piece is the same. Top stitch tip to tip, and then that solves the problem. At this point, you can decide to top stitch the shoulder area. Is solely your choice, but if you notice your fabric is relaxing, you might not need to do this. But in the case whereby you are making or sewing a thick material, there must be need for you to top stitch the shoulder. Subsequently, you iron it out properly and making sure that your stitching is very straight and smooth as well. Then this is the right and the left part. You can see the left part is totally open. There was no joining at the left part. Now the next thing I will do now is to weave the back panel and the right, and then I will show you as well how to progress. So you're gonna weave them now. Insert your shoulder zip. So now I have weaved the two pieces together. Then I am going to hold it with a loose stitch, right? With a loose stitch from the inside. Now this holding should be equal to 1/2 inch as well, or quarter inch. That's sorry, or 3/4 inch. That's above 1/2 inch. Then you sew all through with a loose stitch. Please make sure you use a loose stitch in joining this, because you are still going to loosen it after fixing your invisible zip at the shoulder area. This is just like helping you to hold the piece together for easy insertion of the zip, right? Then sew it all through 3/4 inch from there downwards. Then when you're done doing this now, you have to go and open press it, and then trim your neck, and then trim your shoulder before you now come back to pipe your outfit. So you open press it now, and then you come back to pipe your shoulder. So now I have open pressed it, and I have trimmed everything needed to be trimmed. Both the neck and the shoulder area, I have worked on it. So this is how it is. So you make sure you walk towards the bulging part of the back. So now let us pipe our neck. Then we now start working on the shoulder zip. So guys, this is my piping. I believe you all must have seen my previous videos on how to make a bias. So this is the easiest way you can make your piping to come out neatly, right? I'm just trying to open it up to make sure that the gum is not holding the piece so firmly. So I will loosen up the shoulder area the way I made the loose stitch, loosen it up like 1/2 inch or thereabouts, and then start from that angle to insert your piping. There will be no need for you to fold the piping, because the zipper will also fold in the rough edges on the right. As long as you have weaved those edges, you're very much okay, right? So you just have to start piping. So I believe as well you all must have seen my previous videos on piping, whereby you take your time to sew at the tip of the piping while making sure that the piping is properly inserted at the neck edge, meaning the neck edge should lap at the extreme fold of the bias or your piping material. So you do this gradually. Don't be in a haste to finish up your piping, right? So guys, after you must have finished the piping, the next thing you will do now is to go and iron. While ironing, you make sure you make use of the same fabric of you're making, place on top of the fabric, then you spray or sprinkle water on it, and then if you don't have a steam iron, you can use a dry set iron or your regular charcoal iron to do this. So when you have gotten to this stage, you now iron down flat all your pipes area. It will not be flat enough, right? So when you have done this now, you just have to end the piping very firmly, very neatly on your outfit. So you also end it properly, right? I believe you must have seen. So you just cut it off from there. So at this point, you can still go and reweave if you want to do so. Then you can still top stitch the tip of the bias. You top stitch the tip of the bias. Cut off the threads if there is any. Cut off all your threadings, right? Make sure that there is no rough work. Take your time to do this. It pays to pay attention to details. So when you must have top stitched the tip of the bias, then you make sure everything is properly relaxed. You can decide to give it a thread stitching or a two stitch, depending how your decision or your choice. So take your time to stitch all through, and then when you must have finished stitching, the next thing you will do now is to cut your threads as you progress to ironing of your shoulder, so your neck area, making sure that the bias area is properly relaxed. Then you can now give the third one at the middle. If you notice that the material is so thick or so bulky, the third line they should be centralized in between the two previous ones you have sewn, right? So make sure you bring out your threadings properly, and then you sew. I'm trying to set the stitch so it won't be too tight. So you sew, make sure it's balanced as shown. You sew gradually. I am using the footer to position at the center of the bias, thereby achieving the center line to be in a straight form. My footer is lapping on the both ends of the previous and the second stitch, while I am giving the third stitch at the center of both of them. So at this point now, I'm done top stitching the third line. What I will do next is to lock up the loosened part of the shoulder area while I go to iron it out on my table. So you lock it up, right? You lock it up. Just close it back. Make sure both of them are also balanced as well. So you lock it up, and then I'm trying to set the machine to a loose stitch. So now I have jointed it back. So I have ironed the neck, as you can see how corresponding it is. So the next thing I will do now is to start fixing the invisible zip at the left hand side, the place we made provision for it. So you make sure you face the zip, the right side facing down on the cloth, right? Push it half an inch or 1 inch above the neck region, and then stitch at the tip of the zip. Stitch the tip of the zip. You stitch here. Take your time while stitching, right? Take your time while stitching. Then when you are stitching the zip, you make sure that the center of the zip is positioned at the center of the joining. Please, very important, please, very important. You stitch all through. Then we're also going to stitch the other end. So now I have stitched the both ends. You cut your threads as well. Please don't cut your zip yet. Leave it first. Then you have to loosen the first loose stitch you made. So with the help of my seam ripper, I have loosened it all through. While loosening this part, please make sure you don't tear the fabric. Be patient enough. That is the reason you must use loose stitch while fixing it at the first stage, to make sure it's easy for you to loosen. So guys, you have to unzip it now. You have to unzip it now, and then when you have unzipped it, now this is the time you now bring in your invisible footer, then loosen your old foot, and then you fix the new foot for the invisible zip. So you fix the new foot. Oh, sorry, okay, I have to raise it up higher, right? Okay, yeah. So you fix the new foot, and of course you tighten it very well. You also make sure it's properly fixed. Then after that, the next thing you will do now is to insert the zip underneath the invisible footer that this footer has left and right. So you have to insert it at the corresponding part that you allow the needle eye to sew at the folded edge of the zip track. Very, very important. So this zip gives you an edge in fixing invisible zip with ease, with little or no error, and the finishing is awesome, right? So I have fixed the first one. I will also do the second one, and then show you the results. I believe this video must have inspired us to do this and more. The reason of my whole explanations is to encourage us, to show us how I work. It doesn't mean other methods are not acceptable. I am not in any way trying to contradict any method out there. I only show you how mine is being done. If you deem it fit to adopt my method, you can go ahead in doing so. So now please help me to subscribe and share this video. Subscribe on the YouTube channel so that you'll be notified whenever I make new posts, and you get to be learning, getting new tips of sewing. So look at how neatly fixed the invisible zipper is. I hope you enjoyed this video, and don't forget to drop your comments where you're watching from. Thank you for watching.